What's up guys, Phoenix here, and today we're heading back through time to check out the aesthetically pleasing and hilariously funny Immortals Fenyx Rising. Let's check it out. Immortals Fenyx Rising is a new third-person open-world RPG from Ubisoft that takes us back to ancient Greece to a time where myth and legend was reality and swords and sandals were the latest fashion trends. It doesn't offer anything uniquely groundbreaking, but it does give us a much more fun spin on historical storytelling than we've seen in other games like the Assassin's Creed series. For example, remember the beautiful Aphrodite from Greek legend? Well, she's a tree with a face in, so yeah, there's that.
I can't help but the other three rays, though, Heracles, Atalanta, and Odysseus. Oh, you know what they say? Bad things come in hordes.
No one says that.
The storyline's pretty straightforward and easy to understand. You play as Fenyx, the younger brother of a renowned Greek soldier who arrives on an island to find that everyone's been turned to stone after Typhon, the main antagonist, escapes imprisonment by Zeus and takes his revenge on the gods by taking their powers away. It's up to Fenyx to restore their powers and defeat Typhon, and while it doesn't offer anything especially new, it does tell the story in a comedic way, which I found worked really well for this type of game.
Wait. I've been putting up with all this, the tears, the horrific niceness, for no reason? You're undead to me.
The sound effects in Immortals are as you'd expect, though I found the amount of twinkling and sparkling sound effects were almost everywhere, and they started to annoy me after a while. The voice acting though is brilliantly done, and witty interactions between the main characters is a breath of fresh air, especially Hermes, whose impeccable sarcasm made me laugh out loud on more than one occasion.
I can't keep standing idly by. Sorry, I mean busily preparing anymore. You have to bring Aphrodite back to her beautiful snarky self before I go crazy.
The graphics are vibrant and cartoon-like, and I get serious Breath of the Wild and Fortnite vibes from the style the developers have chosen. Each different area you visit does have a different feel to the last, which is nice to see, but the game falls down graphically on standard enemies you find roaming around the map. Yes, they're smooth and look great, but there isn't enough variation for me. Personally, it reminded me of early RPGs like Final Fantasy, where you'd encounter many variations of the same enemy, with the only difference being colour and power level. Given how far technology's come since then, it just felt a bit lacking. For example, in my playthrough so far, I found that the snake-like Medusa wannabes come in red, green, blue and purple, which only serve to let me know the level of the enemy and not much else.
Achilles' sword? Huh? Brother must have been good in battle.
Is something wrong with your voice?
I never got a sword.
Anyone who has played recent Ubisoft RPGs like the new Assassin's Creed titles will find that the controls are familiar, using the right shoulder buttons for light and heavy attacks and a combination of buttons for special abilities. However, other controls take a bit of getting used to. Often I found myself pressing the button usually assigned for the inventory and map, only to find that in this game it opened up the pause menu. It's only a minor issue, but it became a little irritating after a while.
What a name! Phoenix! Sounds like the sound a dumb bird makes when it lights itself on fire, which would be ridiculous.
There's plenty of story to keep you entertained, and a lot of fun side quests and minigames to find as you explore. These range from guiding arrows to a bunch of rings, speed challenges where you got to travel from A to B in a specific amount of time, and a musical challenge that's based on memory. These award special coins that can be used to upgrade your abilities through a skill tree that's accessed when you visit the Hall of the Gods. There's vaults to explore which sound fun, but these vaults contain puzzles which usually involve stacking blocks, completing an obstacle course, moving a ball from one place to another, or simply flicking switches to activate platforms for you to cross. There was nothing really special about the puzzles, as many of the mechanics had been done before. They could have come straight out of a game from the 90s. One thing that drove me a little insane with Immortals was exploration. Travelling across the map and finding things to do was fine, but to reveal them on the map in order to track them on the compass wasn't quite what I expected. You've got to climb up to high areas and scan the scenery with your farsight ability to locate areas of interest. This slowed the gameplay down massively, and it was easy to miss things, so completionists will probably find this as frustrating as I did. This could have been simplified, and I'm hoping that Ubisoft realise this and offer a fix later. In terms of upgrading your character, Ubisoft have given us an interesting spin on weapon and armour modification. You can find plenty of weapons and armour pieces scattered around the map, but these don't have individual stats as such. Instead, each new weapon you find has different passive abilities and visuals, and upgrading your weapon power or armour rating applies to the whole set. So for example, upgrading the power level of your sword upgrades the power level of all swords. This means you can build your character based on passive abilities more than anything, and you can create your character depending on your own playstyle very easily. Character customization is present, and there's just about enough that you feel like you're making your character unique. Visually you can change the look of your armour and weapons, but also your wings, hairstyle and facial features. It's a fun little addition that goes some way towards making the game feel tailored to you. The game's nicely polished though, and I didn't experience any bugs or glitches. This is a huge positive for Immortals in a time when a lot of new games are still having teething trouble on the new consoles. In terms of the future, Ubisoft did announce that they plan to reveal 3 distinct DLC packs coming in 2021. The first of these is supposedly going to add more challenges and trials to the game, and if that's the case I really hope it adds something new and fresh instead of simply adding more of what we've got in the base game. The last 2 are apparently going to introduce new protagonists and new areas to be explored, which will be interesting to see. I do plan on reviewing the DLC as it's released, so I'll let you know.
Unarmed and lost, Fenyx was vulnerable.
I have to be calm. I have to follow my training.
I did find Immortals to be a light-hearted and fun affair, and the best part of the game by far was the witty storytelling. I also enjoyed the combat, but at times it reminded me of scripted boss battles from old games, since once you manage to figure out the enemy's attacks it becomes pretty easy to beat them. The most fun I had though came from flying around the world taking in all the colour. In my opinion, Ubisoft is smashing the launch window of the new consoles, and while there's some aspects of the game that I felt were dated and others that grated on me after a while, the humour is definitely what sets it apart from others and kept me playing. The characters are entertaining and the game is presented nicely.
That's done. Those evil, imbecilic, tasteless parasites were all turned to stone.
One of those evil parasites is about to save your royal ass.
Overall, I felt that Immortals Fenyx Rising was a solid game. It was well put together, had plenty of content to last long enough that I didn't feel cheated, with a fun story that kept me laughing and was an interesting way to present Greek mythology. I would have liked to have seen more variation from enemies and puzzles, and I wasn't impressed by the boring way they chose to show areas of interest on the map. I'd give Immortals a decent 7 out of 10. It's clearly a game aimed at a younger audience and I'm sure they'll love it, but for gamers who have been around a while there isn't anything truly special on offer. It's far from a bad game and well polished, but it's almost too simplistic in its approach, and this leads to repetition and in turn boredom after a while.
The lowest ranked among them, a shield bearer who dreamt of battle, but had seen nary a skirmish. A teller of tales, not a doer of deeds. Fenyx.
Let me know in the comments what you think, and don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with the latest videos.